JFK on Pice.
Speak your mind. Speak your mind. Speak your mind. Speak your mind.
For all who wish to learn, whatever their color or their creed, ignorance too often abounds, truth too rarely perceived. What kind of a peace do we seek? Not a Pax Americana, enforced on the world by American weapons of war. Not the peace of the grave or the security of the slave. Genuine peace, the kind of peace that makes life on earth worth living, the kind that enables men and nations to grow and to hope and build a better life for their children. Not merely peace for Americans, but peace for all men and women. Not merely peace in our time, but peace in all time. I speak of peace, therefore, as the necessary, rational end of rational men. We have no more urgent task. We must re-examine our own attitudes. As individuals and as a nation, every thoughtful citizen who despairs of war and wishes to bring peace should begin by looking inward, by examining his own attitude towards freedom and peace. Too many of us think it is impossible. Too many think it is unreal. But that is a dangerous, defeatist belief. It leads to the conclusion that war is inevitable, that mankind is doomed, that we are gripped by forces we cannot control. We need not accept that view. Our problems are man-made, therefore they can be solved by man, and man can be as big as he wants. No problem of human destiny is beyond human beings. Man's reason and spirit have often solved the seemingly unsolvable, and we believe they can do it again. Practical, attainable peace, based not on a sudden revolution in human nature, but on a gradual evolution in human institutions. So let us persevere. Peace need not be impractical, and war need not be inevitable. For in the final analysis, our most basic common link is that we all inhabit this small planet. We all breathe the same air. We all cherish our children's future, and we are all mortal. We must all, in our daily lives, live up to the age-old faith that peace and freedom walk together. When a man's ways please the Lord, the scriptures tell us, he maketh even his enemies to be at peace with him. And is not peace, in the last analysis, basically a matter of human right? The right to live out our lives without fear of devastation, the right to breathe air as nature provided it, the right of future generations to a healthy existence. So let us persevere. Ignorance too often abounds, truth too rarely perceived. What kind of a peace do we seek? For all who wish to learn, whatever their color or their creed. Ignorance too often abounds, truth too rarely perceived. What kind of a peace do we seek? For all who wish to learn, whatever their color or their creed. Ignorance too often abounds, truth too rarely perceived. What kind of a peace do we seek? For all who wish to learn, whatever their color or their creed.
So that's JFK. And was he a good man? I talked to my parents about him, and they're like, oh yeah, his dad got him the presidency, and that's why he was assassinated by the mob, and this and that. Let's look at the timeline here. That was a speech he said at American University, June 10th, 1963, and then he was assassinated November 22nd, 1963. So July, August, September, October, November. 5 months and about 10 days, 5 months and a week after he said that speech, he was assassinated. When I made that, I don't put much credit in anyone's words. I think, well, you're still an imperialist. Even Eisenhower said, beware of the military-industrial complex, but he was still supporting the party ticket all his life, coming out to the conventions and everything, and so, but you do. That's what, like, getting mad at Barack Obama because is he an evil architect of the American empire, or is he just a shitty broker? And so even these guys, is they might not be the heroes that you want or the heroes that their marketing portrays them as, or their legacies, but they might still be saying some honest shit, and that sounds pretty honest. And I think he got to that more idealistic point 5 months before he was assassinated, because if you look at the Bay of Pigs happened what? April 1961. April 1961, he had the Bay of Pigs. And then in autumn 1961, so about 6 months after that, he forced the head of the CIA to resign, and that's Allen Dulles. Now, Allen Dulles, so that was 6 months after the Bay of Pigs fiasco. He forced Allen Dulles to resign. The Dulles brothers were Wall Street lawyers, I believe, who started the CIA. So it's like, we notice that in the American empire, the CIA has a very prominent role, which is why William Blum is so important. These guys who try to do a historical analysis of these power centers, Noam Chomsky, I think McAvoy is another guy who did the, when they were running heroin from Vietnam, McAvoy, heroin, CIA. The politics of heroin, CIA complicity, and the global drug trade. So CIA has, and these aren't people just saying armchair quarterback, and these, Alfred McCoy went to, there's this good story. He went to Laos and Cambodia and Vietnam to interview people there, and his publishing company, the CIA, said, you need to redact a lot of this stuff, this isn't true. And his publishing company, it was like Random House or something, it was a big publishing company, I could look it up right here. They said, we had our lawyers look into it, and he gave us enough. Publisher, Chicago Review Press. But they, this is documented, they told the CIA, no, our lawyers said that his facts are good. So it's like, if that's how we determine truth, that's what I'm wondering about this year. How can I create a vehicle for determining truth? That's why I care about Reddit, and I mentioned these other social media stuff. If it really is a war on objective reality and on thought crime, we're going to need vehicles for establishing truth. And I have my own that I've created in my life, which is why I'm sharing them and going over them. Some of that art was to heal. But this art definitely is to maintain truth. I made 17 songs that are like, on this, it's funny, on this little recorder, I don't just record things. Hold up a sec. Oh, it's dead. Are you dead? Yeah, he's dead. I'll have to plug him in. But I don't just record things on this thing. I also have all of these 17 songs on here. Like, that's how important I think these are, these little speeches. They're embodiments of values, of my Tupac, my inner Tupac. That, it's on just like it was on when you were young. People were saying fuck that back then. Because niggas are still trapped. Niggas are still trapped. And it gets me irked. He doesn't say hurt, he says irked. But I let it linger so it sounds like he says hurt. He says, it's not going to stop until we stop it. Until we stop it. I can get the knowledge. I can't even go to college. I don't even that's why you put it to music and start sticking in your head. You listen to it over and over again. What does he say? We need to get our people from the street like Harriet Tubman did. Like Malcolm did. The real Malcolm. We got to understand, this man was a pimp. We forgot about all our brothers in the street. And that's who's teaching the new generation. You take this product, you cut it, you cook it, get the fuck out of here. It might not be your standard political theory, but it's what's happening. It's fucking the drippies and the littles and the zannies and the fucking bullshit. It's like, I know we got all sorts of new pharmacology on the street and shit people are doing. And my little 22-year-old friend, she's listening to Lil Wayne and all this shit, and I like it. We listened to his latest album, was it the Carter 5 or whatever? It was nice, and we were like, You're fucking breaking it down as only fucking Mexican 36-year-old and a little white Jewish 22-year-old can. The fuck? It's just life experience. It's like she goes to prep schools and her dad's a partner in a law firm, and we're in a $4 million apartment. I was like, why do you little white girls love fucking rap music? Why do you guys love thug shit? But it's because it's that other side. It's that she cares and she sees the world and she sees that her framework is so narrow, and her path and her fucking partner, lawyer, dad, and her. She's so many ways to. She failed out of this college. She got accepted to NYU. It's like I didn't even fucking apply to NYU. It's the fucking. Someone I know who was like the fucking one of the top in our class went to NYU, and this girl's fucking failing out of this school, and now she could go to NYU, and now she decided not to go there, and now she has another opportunity. She can do whatever the fuck she wants, and she sits at home doing fucking heroin. That's, it's also because of the trauma, because someone fucked her up when she was young, but like, it's also because this culture that's being offered to her is fucking bullshit. And so I see JFK, if I date this 6 months, 5 months before his assassination, is that he was walking his way away from the bullshit narrative. And this is very, even if he was purely lying out of his fucking, speaking out of his ass, we got rock it one more time. Because he is one of the best orators we've had as a political leader. So when he's saying shit that is important, it really fucking hits. Like, I feel like he believed it.
Wish to learn, whatever their color or their creed.
What does that mean? Color means your race. Creed means your belief system. So that right there would take the wind out of our Christian Islam rhetoric that's so popular now. People don't even have to listen to idealists like me or anarchists or the way far spectrum. All they have to do is go back and listen to people fucking 50 years ago. The dude who got assassinated. If people got assassinated, there was probably a reason. Go listen to the people who spoke the words that got them killed. Martin Luther King Jr. got killed a year to the day that he came out against the Vietnam War. Come on. You got Fred Hampton said, and why are they trying to get rid of us? Because if I wake up other oppressed people, then we'll be able to run them to the lake. You see, I'm the first move to their mate. The first move to their mate. You gotta get rid of the people who are saying things that might shake you out of the fucking mental mind control. That's what did this guy say? The guy said, we're not going to build an Auschwitz. We're going to build it in your mind. That's documented out of the documents we get from like the Trilateral Commission, the CIA, and when powerful interests get together, they speak in this language of thought control, mind control. They say it openly when they're talking about propaganda, which turned into the PR industry, which turned into modern advertising. But when they're talking about government mind control, when they're selling you shit, they'll openly say, we manipulate the fuck out of you. I mean, I meet people who are clients of mine who are psychologists, sociologists working in advertising now. It's all about fucking emotional manipulation on a subconscious scale. But multi cuts within a second. How many, if you look at a music video, it's the camera and things are flashing so fast, it's not subliminal, but it's not strictly conscious. There's multiple frame cuts within a second. Is now we're in emotional language. We're not in a subconscious language. You could remember what happened, but you're emotionally responding. This is some Clockwork Orange, hold your eyes open. My folks, every night we watch CSI and Blue Bloods, and I asked them, I was like, why do we have to watch murders every night? This guy, Ted Danson, used to be on Cheers, and now every single night he's dealing with a murder. It's like, what are you putting in your body? That's something that I was getting around to this last year. I was like, violence needs to be starved. We're feeding ourselves bullshit culture over and over in order to keep our minds and our framework of the world as this dangerous place that justifies military intervention everywhere. And that's where the kids who, you can take my video games out of my cold dead fingers. I don't want your fucking video games. I don't want your cum-stained controllers and your fucking gallons of Mountain Dew. I just want you to question whether this is making you a better person. Because just like your physical body, your mental body, your mind, your personality, your identity is a product of what you put into it. So this stuff that you're feeding yourself, my cousin, I saw it. He grew up playing fucking Call of Duty since he was a kid. Since he was young, I would watch him play these video games. I was like, I don't think that's a healthy shit for him. And now he's in the Marines. It's just a step. The military pays for these games. If you want any military equipment or to be able to even use uniforms and shit, you have to let them consult on your script. Wakanda was saved by the CIA. When in the real history, the scramble for Africa, global corporations went into Africa and committed genocides that are far larger than those committed against the Jewish people. But that doesn't have a place in our modern narrative because it doesn't really make sense. It goes against the Hitler as the one evil dude in the 20th century because this is the Belgian Congo. So this is the King Leopold of Belgium. The dude lost his hand from cancer after cutting off tens of millions of people's hands, or at least millions of people. Yeah, maybe. You know, a lot of them he just killed, but after cutting off their hands when they wouldn't get enough rubber. Then he loses his hand to cancer. How much more dramatic do you need? Where's that movie? And that's what I had this out with people in Brooklyn this last year. Wakanda forever. And I was like, don't fucking... You're such a colonized fool in your mind that you would take the oppressor's story as your own as opposed to claiming there's so much good stories in real history and good people and good... My buddy Mike from way back when, he has this really good story he's working on from like when the Moors were in control of Spain and there were these wars in Africa and real African generals. And there's real awesome people in history or even modern history. When I read about Fred Hampton, I'm like, this was an awesome human being who walked the earth. Like just really like, so JFK, I don't know, maybe he had that affair with Marilyn Monroe. Who knows if he was an awesome human being or if he was just like another lecherous power broker who but he was saying some shit that was real, and you got to get it where you can get it, I guess, in this world of craziness. That's why I don't really like buying into fucking the heroes who, everyone likes JFK, right? So like when I listened to this, I was like very skeptical, but you got to get it where you can get it. This is wisdom we need now, and that's why I put it to here. I took my, who are these beats? I forgot whose beats they were. This is like some classic hip-hop shit for fucking, it's off the top of my head. I should remember it. Most of these are the same dude. This is when I got into like Jay Dilla and old hip-hop and fucking, this is fucking, shit. I put it on the videos and then I forgot about it. But, I gave him my best beats. I gave him my favorite shit. None of it's auto-tuned. None of it's like sped up or slowed down. All I did was I would listen to the speeches, because while I'm writing, this is the stuff I'll listen to over and over again. But I'd be listening to music too, and I'd be listening to speeches with multiple file players going. And then when I would hear stuff that sounded good, or I'd put one on loop, so like the JFK speech, just over and over again listening to it. But then the hip-hop beats are cycling through. But then I'd have every now and then I'd be like, okay, and then I'd start figuring out which one goes with it. But this one...
Ignorance too often abounds. Truth too rarely perceived.
Come on, that's right on. That's in key, with no autotune or anything. Truth too rarely perceives, and you hear.
What kind of a peace do we seek? Not a Pax Americana, enforced on the world by American weapons of war. Not the peace of the grave, or the security of the slave. Genuine peace. The kind of peace that makes life on earth worth living. The kind that enables...
And then you hear his cadence. The kind of peace that makes life on earth worth living. He sounds like he's fucking... He speaks like a breakbeat. That's what... So, beyond the content, I was geeking out on just the fucking art of speaking. And the art of fucking... Yeah. So I was respecting the dude, him and MLK especially, just like how they speak.
Nations to grow and to hope and build a better life for their children. Not merely peace for Americans, but peace for all men and women.
Not merely peace for Americans, but peace for all men and women. Just these ways that you carry your kid.
Not merely peace in our time.
Not merely peace in our time.
But peace in all time.
Peace in all times.
I speak of peace, therefore, as the necessary, rational end of rational men.
How can you argue with that? Is that not what we need? His words to walk us down from this American empire, which is on a suicidal path. And that's what I love about this. It's not my words anymore. It's not just Shaz, young man who might just be reacting to the world. Like my folks are always like, you're just, I like Che Guevara when I was young too, but eventually you have to get a job. And, you know, fucking Fidel Castro killed him anyways. And like, just everyone had conspiracy theories when they were young. But no, there is such thing as objective reality. And that is a part of the narrative, a part of what I guess powers that be, hierarchies, want to edit out of your way of thinking, is that we can figure things out. There can be an objective reality and there can be peace and stability. But my life has always been proven that. And I noticed that, so I did this mushroom trip in September, October. I don't know, I have to fucking, when I do this last year's review, I'll have to like really walk through because it's all starting to get hazy here at the end of November. But I was walking by the projects and there's a cop car on the left of me and there's a projects on my right. And the more money I made in Manhattan, the more I started to see danger on the street, arguing with like fucking homeless people. And just, there was this guy biking on the sidewalk. I was like, get the fuck off the sidewalk. I was becoming an angry New Yorker. And so not working for a year, and this is like 7-8 months into my little walk, maybe 9 months, maybe it was September. I'm walking around. I told the dude I was staying with at the time, Addie the addict, she's on the straight and narrow this year. Well, for good, hopefully. I'm going to see her around Christmas. She might come out here to Cali and we'll hang out. I could use some good company. That Tinder company was good, but it was like, I don't know. It was, at this point in my life, once you get older, sometimes you need those people who've known you for a while. And then when I meet strangers in the future, I will probably slow roll my personality instead of overwhelming them. But Addie's coming out soon, maybe. Yeah, so her boyfriend was like, hey, Shaz, let's do mushrooms. Let's do mushroom, Shaz. I want to eat so many mushrooms. I hear you do mushrooms. Let's do mushrooms. He's a Muppet. And then I'm like, all right, fucking, yeah, let's do it. And he's like, oh, I'm not so sure about tonight. I'm not so sure. I'm like, well, then fucking let's not do it. But let's do mushrooms. I'm like, I hate this shit. I hate this edging bullshit. Like, if you're going to do something, do it. But I'm a guest in his house, so I was a little rude to him when he stayed with me. Because he seems like a little bullshit person with me. And that's something I'm really trying to edit out of my life. As I correct my word and my actions, I have no patience for that shit. Although I don't always have to pick fights. But with his spirit, a young, like not young, but like a man, a Latin American man, a bold energy. If I feel the fucking con artist coming out like, oh, Shaz, you so cool. I'm like, just shut the fuck up, dude. Don't come at me like that. So he was like, let's do mushrooms. Oh, no, I'm not so sure, but let's do mushrooms. And I'm like, dude, if you want to do mushrooms with me, just put them on my desk. And I'm over there just typing and whatever the fuck I've been doing this year, trying to figure out my life. So I'm just like, just put them on my desk if you want to do them, and I'll eat them. He's like, oh, but let's do it. I'm like, no more talking. Because if I get my mind in that state, it's like I have this humility to it. I don't like to do them if I'm chasing, like, trying to do them, or if I'm trying to be cool or this or that. It's like approaching a girl, like, in my life. You can't want it too hard. You got to just be chill. Because first of all, the girl might not be into you. She might have someone, blah, blah, blah. So you want to, if anything is going to happen, you want to have a really calm, cool environment for that to happen. You don't want to force the issue. Don't make people feel uncomfortable, and no excuse to be rude. So if you're chill and you're cool, worst case scenario, you have a cool interaction with someone, which I've had so many. Yeah, so hopefully, like this last Tinder girl, like we had a good fucking time. We went to Slab City, met a bunch of awesome people, fucking got as high as fuck, and then like jumped into hot springs, and we fucking got a decent buzz too. And I rented a car to go out there, and we had a nice trip, and we fucking talked about a bunch of shit. So one night I'm just typing, and then he comes and he just puts some mushrooms right there. I look at him and I just grab it and I eat them. I got a word. I didn't necessarily plan on doing mushrooms that night, but I told him to fucking stop him from this. Oh, yeah, let's do this. So he just put them there and he smiled at me and I just ate them. And that's another thing, real recognize real. Like, I'm not trying to be a dick to you. That's not how I do things. I don't want to, for you, maybe the idea of them is cool. But for me, like if we're doing them or not, I don't want to think that I'm doing the psychedelics and I've pretty much cleared off my afternoon, or I've thought about like, all right, am I feeling good? How am I feeling? It's like meditation. There's like this planning that goes into it. It's like working out. If I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to make sure I got a good night's sleep. I want to make sure I brought my water bottle. I'm dressed for it. You don't just say, "Oh, you want to go work out right now?" I don't even have fucking shoes, or like, I just ate a meal. I'm fucking heavy. That's what it is mentally. It's like you could have just like talked to someone or have some shit in your head. It's like I'm not in the headspace for it. So, but I was like, that was a commitment that like I told him, if you just put it out there. In my mind, I should do them. So just put it out there. So he did it. So he put him right there. So I was like, all right, fucking let's do this. And then I ate him. And then I after an hour, I started fucking listening to music. I put on headphones. This really good fucking, what's his name? I'll put on the music that I was listening to that night. Nicola Cruz Tulum. He does this set in Tulum. Nicola Cruz. I'm starting to, this whole year I've been thinking about the music that I listen to, whether it's healthy or whether it's not, whether it's angry. And so I've been getting into dance music, but with tribal beats and rhythms and people who are respecting basically like older wisdom. So here we go. I put this on. These are just ways to try to open up your mind to objective reality. That's why I relate these speeches give me the same grounding feeling that I get from psychedelics. I know psychedelics are just a tool. They're not the only tool. I've been in the exact same place on psychedelics as I have sober. So I know you can, not just meditation, just sincere thought and lowering your vibrations and being aware. It's the same conversation. So this is the shit that I've been listening to recently. Right? It's music you can make. So it's like break beats and shit like that, but like I can imagine people, maybe you need a beat machine or something like that, but I've had djembes, I've had live music before, and you get this jam going, and then you got the melody, and you got the fucking, I need flutes. I don't have flutes. But in my apartment we had djembes, we had melodica playing, I have guitars of course, so like 3 djembes, 2 guitars, the thing that the keyboards you blow into, and then a bunch of other shit. I had fucking shakers. I had I had a decent life. I had a decent life that I paused for this introspection. I want to move this to the break. There's some parts. It's like an hour mix. And that little delay right there, if you're tripping, is just amplified. You're creating ambiance of depth, or depth of ambiance. It has pretty good drops, like pretty good build-ups, and that's a different way to live. That's not a fucking pop song. That's not a 2-minute, 3-minute fucking, what's a pop song? Lil Xan, is that a fucking rapper? Luciferina.
We say, I want you to be my big B. The vice presidency is mostly.
Lucifina Little Xan on site. So people are angry. Who is Little Xan? I don't even know why I turned this on. Total Xanarchy. You're appropriating my shit. Who is this dude?
You are now listening to a loud.
I guess so. It's like, is this the version of boy bands, angry rap boy bands? I don't know, whatever the fuck this is. I don't even know why I turned this on. Let's go to the Carter 5. The Carter 5. Because that's recent shit that was decent. We are going to go, what was that song? Mona Lisa. We had this on repeat. So listen to this. I don't know if you should do fucking ketamine, because apparently it's really bad for you if you do it too much. But if you're going to try it, choose your own adventure. It's a very interesting song to fucking listen to while you're fucked up. The thing with that song is just bars upon bars. They just fucking like, it's like a Slick Rick storytelling type shit. Like, you listen to it over and over and you're like paying attention to the story, and then you're thinking, all right, that's clever, that's pretty good. And like, it's so much that you're not thinking that like all the lines are fucking great, but like, it's interesting, it's different. But it's not, so that, it's interesting and it's different and blah, 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 but it's not that feeling of like, I wouldn't fucking take, yeah, so like, I guess ketamine and the other shit is great, but it's not. If you're gonna do mushrooms, you're gonna do shit, soul searching, try to figure out reality, check your own soul type shit, your head. I need that tribal dance shit. Really? We got 2 fucking commercials? Wow. It's a different feeling. Why did I bring this up? Why did I bring this up? And then I have this JFK thing.
We have no more urgent task with freedom and peace. Too many of us think it is impossible. Too many.
It's truth. Truth through words, truth through music. Representations of reality. That fucking little chicken McNugget, fucking Lil Xan, whatever. What is his version of reality? What is fucking what's his name? Tekashi Rainbow Bright. What is his version of reality? And then look at someone's life. I'm trying to correct my word, correct my actions. What type of man am I trying to be? What type of words do I want to use? And you can't do that in a bubble. I have society I'm also interfacing with. Society that would sacrifice my life for a war of an aggression just to push their little fucking empire on a chessboard further. I feel like a part of me correcting my word and correcting my life is confronting that, confronting those who would sacrifice me for their imperial aims, who would use me. That's using. I'm looking at my parents and people in their life who are using them. That's why I push back against that little pastor con artist. I recognize that character. I've been come up on enough and been tested enough in business and in New York, but also in life and shit, that I know a fucking come up when I feel it. And I might be wrong, and my mom's like, you're too harsh, but that guy was just, you tell the man your name and he's like, that's not your name. It's like, that's fucking rude. It's like, that's what it is, having that type of take no prisoners dignity. It's like, all you ask is for the respect that anyone should get, right? And then I wonder about that, because then I run my mouth about celebrities I don't know, like Conor McGregor and Khabib and LeBron James, and now these Lil Xan guys and Joe Rogan, I get a really emotional response about that guy. I really don't like that guy. Jordan Peterson, and then I have my Twitter boos, all those girls on Twitter, 8 or 10. It's like, I don't know any of these people personally. And so by my own rules, they deserve respect. But then when you put yourself out like that and you try to market your brand, I feel like you make it fair game, because now you're in my head. It's not like I'm thinking about you like some dude on the street that I have a beef with. I have that. I have plenty of fucking open conversations with people that I not necessarily wish violence on, but they're open conversations, and I have to check in just to see where their head's at, just because they're liabilities. like that guy in Brooklyn. I forgave him, but he's still a funny guy. He's still the type of guy who would do that shit to me. So I gotta like kind of keep an eye on him. They had a function. I stopped by just to be like, "What's up, dude? I'm not ducking you or anything. We're cool. That's what keep your friends close and your enemies closer." I don't consider him an enemy, but when I say funny, it's like a loose cannon. Like that's I don't. And also, I'm learning. I'm learning from observing him. What type of life is this guy gonna have? What type of person is he becoming? A lot of these people become your friends eventually if you come to common ground, and then you've gone through shit, and now that's a bond that no one can break. I knew that from when I was young. Just because someone fights you or beefs with you doesn't mean that it's forever bad. A lot of those become like fucking really awesome people in your life because you know each other's limits, and you know that this dude doesn't back down, I don't back down. That's what. So now like when my friend picks that fight in high school, I thought it was stupid. I was like, dude, you're not gonna date these girls. You're fucking trying to fight some guy over some girl you like's little sister. Like that's a stretch. And I told him that, but like I also know my friend. I'm like, nah, once he put his mind to something, he wants to fucking, it's more about just fighting. He just wanted to fight. And the less you have, the more antagonistic you feel. When I was walking around New York with only 2 bags to my name, I got evicted. I was really pissed off at my landlord. I guess projecting, pissed off at myself. I knew that this was a path I wanted, and I knew I wanted to give up my whole life, but still pisses you off. You're still like, this motherfucking. So like when that homeless guy was like, or whoever he was bugging me and my homeless friend, I was like, he was like, you don't know me. I was like, you don't want to get to know me, dude. Who the fuck are you? Like, I don't know, what did I say? I don't know what I said. I just dropped my shit and I stared at him until he fucking walked away. I was like, we're threat con level 1. We're going to fucking start. Let's bring it up. I had a big ass chain in that bag. One of those bags had a heavy fucking 5-7 pound like kryptonite lock. So I got all my stupid fucking ghetto street shit. I had a mag light and shit. I don't have fucking knives and guns. I just have heavy shit. In Puerto Rico, I'd walk around with a knife. Stupid shit. And then that energy sometimes keeps people away from you. It's like, you just got the energy of like, I'm just prickly right now. I'm fucking but that's not a good way to live. And so music has an energy. That's why I joke around about teasing shit I don't like young kids, like the fucking music and shit. But that's when I said, this is all trying to figure out a philosophy of life and a way to live. And it's complicated because it's contradictory. And then you tease out the contradictions. You find out what you can align and then what you have to let go. Because sincerity and honesty correct towards truth. Have a word with yourself. So Shaz, if you want to have a word with yourself, a lot of this stuff you're going to have to let go. And I joke around like I'm the top 90th percentile physically, mentally on objective tests, but when I'm talking to my addict friends, I'm like, don't take too much of what I say seriously, because I'm like maybe 51% right. I think I'm over 50%, but I just want to correct towards truth. I'm willing to give up a lot of what I say. And that's why I'm friends with that 22-year-old, because her and I respect truth, hopefully above her addiction. And for me, above my desire to have sex with her or something. And that's why we can hang out so much. I don't think she's hopeless yet. And she doesn't think that I'm just trying to fucking get in her pants. I observe, though, that women who won't be with me, that's their own issue. Like, these girls will only be with someone in a certain way. She'll only be with, like, the fucking dumbass. And I've noticed, I stopped a long time ago, Addie the Addict, way back when, in my 20s, early 20s. And then I got that Shaw relationship, and then that kind of solidified that in my head. If a girl won't be with you, and you're just trying to live a good life, that's indicative of their mind. People get into this mind state where they can't be with a good person. That's what Shaw wouldn't look me in the eyes when we first started fucking, because for her, sex and shame were close together and intimacy were very far apart. And so I told this girl, this 22-year-old addict, it's like, I know you won't fuck me, but it's not because you don't want to fuck me. It's like we are attracted to each other. That's a part of the friendship, is a chemistry. That's a part of why we run around naked and do stupid shit. But you're stuck in this part of your head where you don't want to be vulnerable. She doesn't like smoking weed. It's like, yeah, you don't want your mind to wander away from you. You'll do all these psychedelics and heroin and opioid and this and that. And that's when I brought up the trauma shit. I was like, it's because you probably got fucked with, right? And you got shit that you don't want to let out of your head. And you're treating it through addiction. But there's vulnerability of true intimacy. It makes you vulnerable. And you have sex, and you have conquest, and you have guys, and she had she went to a club and picked up this drug dealer. She was like, oh, he's so fucking blah, blah, blah. I'm like, how do you know he's really making money and he's not just like some dude who's fucking slinging coke and he's claiming he's big time? She's like, no, I know that t-shirt cost like $5,000 that he was wearing, blah, blah, blah. And he's always in and out of the country. And I was like, well, I'm still calling bullshit, but even if it's true, why would you want that life? Why would you want to be a part of that? But it's convenient when your dad's a lawyer. You have a lot more safety nets than the average person. Tourists in the underworld, tourists in the slumming it is what they call it. And I'm another kind of trophy for her. Shaz, 2-bag Shaz showing up at her place so she can give me shelter for the weekend, and I can do all the fucking drugs with her. And that's one of the reasons why I did heroin with her. I was like, oh, it'd be rude for me not to do the drugs with her. She's put me up for the weekend in this nice-ass penthouse apartment. Energy and people and views. Now, that's what I was going to say, yeah. The contradictions is how you edit out your life. And so she, compassion. If you're left with compassion for people, that's when you're probably at the highest morality. And so sometimes I can talk myself into compassion for like the young rap that I don't like, young hip hop. This guy with the fucking multicolored hair, I like him. I like his hair. He's just stupid. And that's what everyone who meets him says. He's a good kid, he's just stupid. The radio shows everyone is like, no, he's actually a good kid. He was suicidal. And then he bought into that narrative of do whatever you can to get the bag. So he did. But there's another way to live, by honor and respect and this and that. And that's what's funny is that's why maybe I always go back to hip hop. That's a foundational level of hip hop. It's out of the lower end of society where that's all you have is honor and respect and a code. And that code, you can call it Tao or Zen Buddhism or ethics or whatever, but that code is what keeps you alive on the street. That code is what lets you tell friend from foe. So that's why I was bringing up that mushroom trip. I was like, the guys in the projects aren't my enemy. I understand them. They have a code. And I just was living away from that a while. And I was starting to become a little bit more bullshit, walking away from the code. I think you can have the code and still have money. And the code brings you success and this and that. But money also corrupts. And my lifestyle, I was becoming a bit of a bullshit person, I think. And I realized that the more I walked away from it, and this whole year of suffering, walking around with nothing, being dependent on the help of others, and now being at my folks' home, I have to shut up sometimes because I don't really have stuff to stand on. I just put my head down and be like, I'm grinding. And thank you for the shelter. You have to be humble. My friend, I was staying at her place, Shaw. Shaw took me in for a week. Her boyfriend was out of town. Me and him don't really get along. I don't get along with most people. And Shaw was like, I like this humble version of Shaz. You seem very humble. I'm like, I have to be, because I appreciate you fucking put me up for a week. Because the night before that, I slept on the landing of my apartment. I tried to sneak back into my apartment, and they'd rented it already. And I didn't want to sleep on the street because it was a cold night. This was like October, beginning of October, the Khabib fight. And I slept on in the stairwell. And they locked the roof because I kept sneaking up to the roof to sleep there. And instead of calling the cops on me, the super just put a new lock on the roof. So that's nice of him. The super was my friend, and he didn't fucking really rat me out, but he wanted me to stop sneaking into his building. He was a Mexican. He always called me compa, compatriot. Ay, compa, pero van a enojar la señora, van a enojar. And like, the lady's gonna get mad. Hey, quiere su dinero, necesitas pagar. You need to pay her. I didn't pay him for like 8 months before I left. So yeah, the night before I was at Shaw's place, I went up to the roof and it was locked. And I was like, fuck, I don't want to go back out in the street. And it was like 2 a.m. And I just fucking, it's like a landing, 2.5 feet, 3 feet by like 3 feet, maybe less, maybe more. But when you walk up to the roof of a building, that last large step before you go through the door, it's not a step, it's a landing. Just curled up, found a sheet, put it over me, so if anyone glanced up there from the hallway, they would think that there's just maybe furniture up there. That's living on the street. When you have nothing, you appreciate everything. And I just appreciated being inside the building versus being outside. There's always a subway. I've slept on the subway plenty of times, but if you ever sleep on the subway, you're bent over like this because you're basically leaning over. And when you wake up, you feel like you've creased yourself permanently in the middle, like your whole stomach is sore. There's enough people on the subway. There's, 50, 60,000 homeless in New York. Every subway car at night has some people. So it's not like you're going to get come up on by people, although when I was in Occupy Wall Street, there are stories of people who get mugged or messed with on the subway. But I never got messed with on the subway. But yeah, I just didn't want to. When you just appreciate shelter, then you build on there. You build on everything from there. So the code isn't humility. It is humility. You want to be humble, but I don't know what it is. I'm still trying to figure it out. It might not be verbal. They say the Tao which can be spoken is not the real Tao. But there is a way and a pattern of life. And when you live with them that way, and something about that way and that pattern is your character and your actions and peace. That's what, when JFK, the wisdom that I get from this is the code, the Tao, the peace, the quiet, silent warrior. When I'm walking around the projects I was living in near Flatbush, between Flatbush and Crown Heights near Atlantic, and there's some projects over there, and I'm walking my friend's dog, and this dude, he's like, yo, there's a I noticed sometimes I walk on the project side, sometimes I walk on the other side, just depending on which way I'm going. But I took her dog for a walk a bunch, try to get to know the neighborhood and get the feeling of it. And this dude tells me, hey, yo, there's a guy with a pit up there, and his dog's not nice. You want to cross the street. You want to avoid him. I was like, good looking out, thank you. And this dog had been attacked by a pit before. It was a good dog, nice big dog, 60 pounds, but it's already gotten its ass beat by pit bulls. It knew what it was up to. So, and I saw the dude come out of the fucking projects and start coming towards us already up the block. I saw him with a big dog. And I don't know if he's a nice dude. I don't know if he fucking just gets off on fucking letting his dog go at other people. Or I don't know if he's just walking it. But this dude from the block noticed there was going to be a problem. And he fucking gave me a heads up. I don't know the dude, but like, that is nice. And everyone takes care of each other in poor neighborhoods. I've lived in enough neighborhoods to know that you look out. That's what my friend, she was with someone walking home down her block, and some dudes crossed the fucking street and started hollering at them and got really close. And she had to turn around, and she's a short little girl. She had to put all her energy out this dude, and he was over 6 feet, him and his friend. She was like, yo, you don't approach me like that. You don't come out of the shadows, cross the street. She was like, I'm here with my friend. You're making us feel really uncomfortable. You don't fucking... And they tried to be like, the guy didn't back down. He was like, what, you don't like it? Something like that. She was like, I live here. This is my fucking block. Don't fucking try to make me feel uncomfortable here. She came at him. She's got a bunch of stories. You gotta, just, what is it? Try to be righteous. Not self-righteous. But like, try to be, there's a chillness. Like, why did that dude probably thought this dude's walking his dog. I seem normal. I seem chill. I try to be humble. And he knows that this dude's fucked with other people with his pit before. And he's like, this guy, he's just like, we just try to keep the energy low. No one wants shit. No one wants fucking, when shit's about to go off. And you could kind of feel it. You could kind of feel the tension. Do the right thing. The hot summer days, you could just kind of feel when stuff is hot. And fucking people are just trying to get by. People, yeah, I could kind of always feel it. No, not always, but I have a sense. Like when I was driving by that guy in Puerto Rico, and I told my friend, I was like, he was yelling at the car. I was like, stop it. Stop the car. I don't want this escalating. That's whatever's going to happen. Let's have it happen now. And I got out and I went to talk to him. Not angry, but that's peace. That's what this is. Peace isn't weakness. Peace isn't just let people push you around. But peace isn't looking for a fight. It's the rational end of rational men. And that's why I told that guy. So this wisdom, that's why it's wisdom. It's not directly related to politics or JFK or that time and place. It's a way to live and walk in harmony with other people and to recognize where danger is. when I'm making money in real estate in New York, I see danger everywhere now, and I'm yelling at this guy, and I'm fucking feeling like, oh shit, like clutching my shit, like feeling like, of course, the nicer shit you have than the fucking, what's his name? 2 Chainz got robbed for his 2 Chainz, walking him around San Francisco, and some fucking local dudes came out in a van and got him, and his fucking bodyguards all went running. It's like, you don't, that's not how you're, unless you're like the big guy on the block, and even then, now you're making a target on your back, but that's why poor people live humbly. It's a little fucked up because we blame the victim. When someone gets come up on, you're like, oh, well, they must have done something to deserve it. I've heard that. I've heard my friend got broken into, and I was at a bar, and they were like, oh, yeah, well, I heard that this and that, and it was totally bullshit. But they were just justifying this person getting broken into. It's like, but that's what, because they feel like there's a pattern, and you stay within the pattern, and you're fine, and you fall out the pattern, and then there's a correction. It's like a karma of the streets. But there is an energy, and there is a pattern of the world, and I really feel like America's outside of it. That's why I care so much about this Iraq war and other stuff. It's like we can't keep fucking over so many people in the world and not. And when I take mushrooms, I really get sensitive to this. So that one time when the guy put the mushrooms on my table, and he was like, and I just took him, and then I went walking. I walked from Harlem down to the bottom of the park, down Fifth Avenue. So it's really interesting because Harlem and Fifth Avenue ain't Harlem off a Museum Mile off the park. So you go from projects to fucking Donald Trump shit. And I got down to the Village, to a place I like to go to, because being tripped out, it was a lot of mushrooms, and they were really strong too. They might have been the super strong ones. A lot of blue. So I went to this bar where I know I could just fucking bumble and fuck my way in, and when the bartender was asking for shit, I just needed just very simple, I asked her for a glass of Syrah and a water, and then she could assume that I was drunk trying to sober up. She's like, anything else? I was like, no, I'm just rocking this for the night. She's like, all right. And I tipped her well. It was like, I mean, I didn't have to tell her I was tripping out mushrooms, but when you order a glass of water at a bar, usually people figure, all right, you're trying to sober up, or at least catch yourself. And then went and sat in a corner. And funny enough, my friend hit me up. I hadn't talked to in years. Danny Newman from Big Sur. He hit me up. I sat down, and he was like, what's up, on Facebook on my phone. And I was like, Danny, you have a message for me, because I just sat down and I'm on mushrooms, and you're a mycologist, and I just sat down with a glass of wine, and then all of a sudden he hits me up. So I'm like, tell me what you have to tell me, because obviously I've done this whole journey just to receive your message. And we both had stuff to tell each other. I had to give him some love, and he gave me some love. But the path that is spoken, the path that is unspoken, the path that's intuitive. Where is danger? Where are enemies? And so when I was walking back to go back to my friend's place in Harlem, that's when I had that thought. I thought, the warmongers of this generation have tripped wires that future generations are going to have to repay. In Iraq, there are brothers, there are fathers, there are men, there are women, there are sad women, there are orphans, there's daughters, there's sons. If you have that fantasy novel where they kill all the sons, why do they do that? Because they don't want them coming back for revenge. These wars, these unjust wars for corporate greed and profit that we don't even profit from, because they're raiding our public treasury. The money that should be going into American infrastructure is going to these wars of aggression. And then these soldiers have to go out there and fight these families that now it's a generation on. 2003 is when we went into Iraq. So 15 years. Some of these kids, all they know is warfare. How many blood feuds have we started? How do we resolve that? Through peace, but it's going to be hard. I got out of that van to talk to that dude in Puerto Rico who was yelling at me because he thought I was fucking up his relationship. And I'd be like, dude, that's your girl? I already say she's crazy. She's my friend, but she's fucking crazy. She took his motorcycle helmet. She took a fucking hammer to it. He tried to drive off. She jumped in front of the car. He's the type of motherfucker who'll run her over. So then she has to jump out of the way because he almost runs her over. So it's like, I already know their shit. My young ass is starting to learn, don't, just because she's a woman doesn't mean you have to defend her. I told her, I don't think you should be with that dude. But I'm not gonna, that's what Addie taught me out of this. I'm not gonna fight your fights for you. Don't think you're gonna play me against your boyfriend. I'm your friend, and I'm always gonna try to help you. And we'll hang out together, get your head right. If you need like good, positive love and support, that's what I'm here for. But I'm not here to fucking. And that's why I jumped out to tell him too. When he was talking, I just let him know, yo, dude, like your girl's not getting me against you. I'm not. This is one of those things. I gave him respect as a man, and I said, like, your relationship ends where my friendship starts. That's all. That's my friend, but that means you can't be like, I don't want you fucking. What are we doing? You have something to say to me? I'm right here. And he's like, oh, you gonna fight me? No, dude, we're talking. You're gonna fight me? Because if it sounded like you were mad. And he's like, I think we're cool now. He knows my family. I know his family, and that's how shit settles in Latin America, from what I understand, or in anywhere. Is I know what he cares about. He knows what I care about. We know what we're all about. You live somewhere long enough, people figure out what you're all about. That's all you can hope for. And that's why you work on your word and your character. Because talk is just talk. Just fucking, the people who last are the people who have a word. So us as citizens, that's something I'm really interested in this year. And in my life, I guess. And that's why I put this number on my arm. As a citizen of the United States, what have I been committed to by the actions of this little elite that is leading our country and tripping all these wires of all these blood feuds that we're paying for in this increased terrorism around the world and here domestically? Who's doing that? And we have to identify them here in our country, and we have to hold them accountable. We have to hold our own accountable, our own family, before we can even speak on the world. I think that's what JFK was on. Whether that's why he was killed or not, that's a whole nother question. We already talked about conspiracy theory, that it was created by the CIA to discredit anything outside the normal narrative. So when you talk about how JFK was killed, there's a lot of questions, and that needs transparent investigation. They try to put Alan Dulles as the head of that investigation, and he was the guy that JFK let go because of the bad pigs 2 years before he was assassinated. So he had a very large motive, and they try to put him at the head of the investigation. That's almost as ridiculous as them trying to put Henry Kissinger at the head of this investigation for 9/11, a guy who committed war crimes and main architect of our secret wars in Cambodia and Vietnam, and a guy who consults with the Bush family. And then the Bush family's so tied to the Saudis. That's why I'm interested in what they're doing with Trump right now, with the Russians. Are we going to investigate other politicians and their foreign contacts, or is this just a one and done? Trying to be a man of character and have a word in this world of so much malicious misinformation is confusing as fuck. I'm so glad that I take time out of my life to do stuff like this. I guess that's what I felt this year. It's like I needed another break to solidify my narrative of who I am and what I believe. And then that's also why I do this and share it with other people. Not because I think that I'm going to impress anyone with my ranting and my tangents and my emotional stuff and other stuff and my fucking horniness and my run-on sentences. But it's just an honest documentation of my mind. And I've been working on clarifying my mind all my life. And I think that's been the source of anything good in my life, whether people or money, is my clarity of mind. So these are the tools I use to help clarify it. And also pay tribute to people who've come before. Is whatever his faults were and his blind spots, and no one's perfect. I really respect people who stand up for like some sort of version of an ideal world, even if we can't get there. Even if man's not perfect, hopefully he's perfectible. Hopefully we can improve him. There is a hierarchy to levels of thought and ways to explain the world, and there are better viewpoints than others. Just got to dig a little deeper for them. I think we're dying for. I told someone that once. We were like high as fuck listening to hip hop. Maybe we were on mushrooms, and I was like, we're dying for a lack of realness. The world is dying for a lack of realness, and that's what I recognize in political works and also in hip hop. Realness in the energy of the music that I like. And then the other shit, I guess, if you want to just listen to shit to, like, I don't know. If they capture emotions that people are going through, then how can you knock it? If you're left with compassion for a viewpoint, even if you oppose the viewpoint, if you're just left with compassion, like if you feel like, oh, not the most efficient or best way. Like, the antagonism is what means that you still need to correct. So have compassion and love. Where I work on it. It's a we're all a work in progress, right?